Michigan isn't the state you learned about in school. This freshwater peninsula hides geographic secrets so bizarre they sound like fiction. From underwater forests to moving sand dunes to a town that technically doesn't exist, Michigan's geography defies everything you thought you knew about the Great Lakes state. Number 50. Michigan has more coastlines than any state except Alaska. Michigan's 3,288 miles of Great Lakes coastline exceeds California, Florida, and Hawaii combined. The state is surrounded by 4 of the 5 Great Lakes, creating endless beaches. You're never more than 85 miles from a Great Lakes shoreline anywhere in Michigan. The state has more lighthouses than any other, with over 120 marking the shores. Michigan is essentially a massive peninsula with more shoreline than most coastal states. Number 49. Michigan is the only state split into 2 separate peninsulas. The Lower Peninsula and Upper Peninsula are physically disconnected, separated by the Straits of Mackinac. You cannot drive from one peninsula to the other without crossing the Mackinac Bridge. The Upper Peninsula was originally supposed to be part of Wisconsin, but a border dispute gave it to Michigan as compensation for losing Toledo to Ohio. The UP is so isolated that residents joke about seceding. Number 48. The Mackinac Bridge is so long, you can't see one end from the other. The Mackinac Bridge spans 5 miles across the Straits of Mackinac. On foggy days, the bridge disappears into white mist with no visible end. The bridge sways up to 35 feet in high winds. Before the bridge opened in 1957, people took ferries between peninsulas, and the straits froze solid enough to drive across in winter. During the annual Labor Day Bridge Walk, 60,000 people walk 5 miles across. Number 47. Michigan has moving sand dunes that bury entire forests. The Sleeping Bear Dunes on Lake Michigan's coast are actively migrating inland, burying trees and creating ghost forests. The dunes move up to 15 feet per year as wind constantly reshapes them. Some dunes tower over 450 feet above Lake Michigan, among the largest freshwater dunes on Earth. Beneath the sand lie buried forests from centuries ago. These dunes look like desert transported to Michigan. Number 46. There's a town in Michigan where cars are banned. Mackinac Island prohibits automobiles entirely, making it America's largest carless community. Only emergency vehicles are allowed, and everyone travels by horse-drawn carriage, bicycle, or foot. The ban has been in place since 1898. The island has over 500 horses and produces mountains of manure daily. Mackinac Island represents 19th century transportation frozen in time. Number 45. Michigan contains the longest freshwater coastline in the world. Not just in America, but globally. Michigan has the longest freshwater coastline. The combination of 4 Great Lakes creates unmatched shoreline length. Michigan's coast exceeds the entire coastline of Brazil. The freshwater beaches look identical to ocean beaches, but without salt, sharks, or tides. Number 44. The Upper Peninsula has its own time zone controversy. Most of the Upper Peninsula operates on Central Time, but a small section uses Eastern Time. This creates situations where driving west makes time go backward. The UP's Central Time alignment connects it more to Wisconsin than to Lower Michigan. The time zone split emphasizes how disconnected the 2 peninsulas are. Number 43. Michigan has an underwater museum with shipwrecks you can dive. The Great Lakes contain over 6,000 documented wrecks. Michigan's waters hold hundreds of preserved shipwrecks because cold freshwater prevents decay. The Straits of Mackinac alone have dozens of accessible wrecks. Some ships sank in the 1800s and remain perfectly preserved. The SS Edmund Fitzgerald sank in Lake Superior in 1975, Michigan's most famous maritime disaster. Number 42. There's a Michigan town closer to Toronto than to Detroit. Port Huron sits on the Canadian border just across the St. Clair River from Ontario. You can see Canada from downtown without binoculars. The town is 60 miles from Detroit, but only a few hundred yards from Canada. Port Huron residents can hear Canadian fireworks from their homes. Number 41. Michigan's Porcupine Mountains aren't actually mountains. The Porcupine Mountains are ancient hills worn down over billions of years. They reach only 1,958 feet at their highest point. The name stuck from early settlers who saw forested ridges. The Porkies contain old-growth forest, one of the few virgin forests in the Midwest. These ancient hills represent some of North America's oldest exposed rock. Number 40. The Thumb Region. Actually looks like a thumb on the map. Michigan's thumb is shaped exactly like a human thumb on maps. The peninsula jutting into Lake Huron forms a recognizable thumb shape visible from space. The 1881 Great Thumb Fire destroyed over 1 million acres and killed hundreds. The thumb shape makes Michigan's mitten-shaped lower peninsula even more recognizable. Number 39. Michigan has a desert island with sand dunes and cacti. South Manitou Island in Lake Michigan contains a desert-like environment with sand dunes and minimal vegetation. The island was once a vital refueling stop for Great Lakes shipping. Shipwreck remains litter the shores. The Valley of the Giants contains massive cedar trees over 500 years old. South Manitou feels like a Caribbean island transported to the Great Lakes. Number 38. The Great Lakes technically have tides, but you can't see them. Great Lakes tides exist, but measure only 1 to 2 inches, imperceptible to the human eye. The moon's gravity affects all water, even freshwater. These microtides are overwhelmed by wind-driven waves. Great Lakes tides are actually seiches, where water sloshes back and forth like water in a bathtub. Number 37. Michigan's lowest point is still 571 feet above sea level. Michigan's lowest elevation is where Lake Erie meets the state border at 571 feet. This makes Michigan one of the highest low states. Even Michigan's lowest point is higher than entire states like Delaware or Florida. The entire state sits at significant elevation despite being surrounded by water. Number 36. There's a Michigan county with more shoreline than Florida. Leelanau County has over 100 miles of Great Lakes shoreline packed into a small area. The county contains the Sleeping Bear Dunes and dozens of inland lakes. This single Michigan county has more accessible beaches than many coastal states. The concentration of water makes Leelanau one of America's most water-dominated counties. Number 35. Michigan contains the world's largest limestone quarry. The Rogers City Limestone Quarry covers over 7,000 acres and ships 10 million tons annually. The quarry is so large it has its own zip code and port facilities. Freighters dock directly at the quarry to load limestone. This single quarry produces more limestone than entire countries. Number 34. The Upper Peninsula is larger than 9 U.S. states. The UP covers 16,377 square miles, larger than Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Despite its size, the UP has only 300,000 residents. You can drive for hours without seeing towns. The UP's geographic scale doesn't match its population. Number 33. Michigan has over 11,000 inland lakes. Michigan contains more than 11,000 lakes, larger than 5 acres, not counting the Great Lakes. Oakland County alone has over 1,000 lakes. Some areas have so many lakes that land seems like an afterthought. The lakes were carved by glaciers during the last ice age. Number 32. There's a floating post office in Detroit. The J.W. Westcott II delivers mail to freighters passing through Detroit River, the only floating post office in America. The boat has its own zip code despite being constantly moving. Since 1874, the Westcott has delivered mail to ships that can't stop. The boat pulls alongside moving freighters to transfer mail and supplies. Number 31. Michigan's Pictured Rocks have 15 miles of colored sandstone cliffs. Pictured Rocks. National Lakeshore features massive sandstone cliffs streaked with mineral colors along Lake Superior. The cliffs reach 200 feet high with caves and arches. Minerals create stripes of red, orange, green, and blue. The formations look artificial, but are entirely natural. Number 30. Michigan produces more tart cherries than anywhere on Earth. Michigan grows 75% of America's tart cherries and leads global production. Traverse City claims the title of Cherry Capital of the World. The Great Lakes' moderate temperatures, creating perfect cherry growing conditions. Cherry orchards cover thousands of acres in northwest Michigan. Number 29. The Straits of Mackinac have currents, strong enough to pull swimmers under. The straits connecting Lake Michigan and Lake Huron experience powerful currents. The currents can reach 5 miles per hour, strong enough to overpower swimmers. The straits are 5 miles wide, but only 295 feet deep at the deepest point. Swimming the straits is extremely dangerous due to cold water and currents. Number 28. Michigan has a town that exists in 2 states simultaneously. Union City straddles the Michigan-Indiana border, with Main Street marking the state line. Houses exist in both states, and residents pay taxes to different states. The high school competes in Indiana conferences despite being in Michigan. Some residents walk between states, crossing their own property. Number 27. Isle Royale National Park is closer to Canada than to Michigan. Isle Royale sits 56 miles from the Michigan shore, but only 18 miles from Ontario. The island is so remote, it receives fewer visitors than any other national park. The island has no roads, no cars, and no permanent human residents. Isle Royale is more accessible from Canada than from Michigan. Number 26. Michigan's copper country produced 11 billion pounds of copper. The Keweenaw Peninsula was the world's largest copper producer in the 1800s. Mining towns boomed, then went bust when copper depleted. Abandoned mines and ghost towns cover the peninsula. Native Americans mined the deposits for thousands of years. Michigan's copper built American industry during the Industrial Revolution. Number 25. Michigan has more registered boats per capita than any other state. Michigan leads the nation with over 900,000 watercraft. That's approximately 1 boat for every 11 residents. Marinas outnumber gas stations in many coastal counties. The Great Lakes enable ocean-sized boats on freshwater. Michigan's geography makes boats essential. Number 24. The Soo Locks handle more tonnage than the Panama Canal. The Soo Locks in Sault Ste. Marie move more cargo tonnage than the Panama Canal annually. The locks connect Lake Superior to the lower Great Lakes. Iron ore, coal, and grain move through these locks to supply Midwest industry. If the Soo Locks closed, American manufacturing would face immediate crisis. Number 23. Detroit is north of Windsor, Canada. Due to the Detroit River's course, Detroit sits north of Windsor, Ontario. You drive south from Detroit to enter Canada. This confuses people who assume Canada is always north of the US. The Ambassador Bridge connects Detroit to Windsor as one of America's busiest border crossings. Number 22. Michigan contains America's only fjords outside of Alaska. The Keweenaw Peninsula has narrow, steep-sided inlets that qualify as fjords. These freshwater fjords were carved by glaciers during the Ice Age. This Norwegian-style geography exists in Michigan's remote Upper Peninsula. Michigan's fjords are among the few examples outside polar regions. Number 21. The Great Lakes contain 1/5 of the world's surface fresh water. Michigan is surrounded by water bodies holding 20% of Earth's fresh surface water. The Great Lakes contain 6 quadrillion gallons of water. This water resource makes Michigan's geography globally significant. The lake's moderate climate enable shipping and provide drinking water for 40 million people. Number 20. Michigan's Sleeping Bear Dunes were voted America's most beautiful place. Good Morning America viewers voted Sleeping Bear Dunes as the most beautiful place in America in 2011. The dunes tower 450 feet above Lake Michigan. The area combines massive sand dunes, crystal clear water, and forested coastal bluffs. This Michigan landscape beat out national parks, beaches, and mountains nationwide. Number 19. The Great Lakes have killed more sailors than the Bermuda Triangle. Over 6,000 ships have sunk in the Great Lakes, claiming approximately 30,000 lives. November is particularly deadly when fall storms create hurricane-force winds. The Edmund Fitzgerald sank in 29-foot waves in 1975, killing all 29 crew. The lakes are more dangerous than many ocean routes historically. Number 18. The Michigan Basin sits on a giant underground salt deposit. Beneath Michigan lies a massive salt deposit from ancient seas. Detroit sits atop salt mines that extend under the city and river. The salt is over 1,000 feet underground and deposits hundreds of feet thick. Detroit's salt mine has over 100 miles of underground roads. Number 17. Michigan has a region called the UP that uses Yooper as an identity. Upper Peninsula residents call themselves Yoopers, a distinct cultural identity. Yoopers have their own dialect, accent, and cultural traditions. The UP's isolation created this separate identity over generations. Yoopers often feel more connection to Wisconsin than to Detroit. Number 16. Mackinac Island produces over 10,000 pounds of horse manure daily. With 500 horses and no cars, Mackinac Island generates massive amounts of manure. The manure is composted and sold as fertilizer. The island employs full-time workers just to manage horse waste. The romantic horse-drawn carriage image comes with substantial cleanup requirements. Number 15. The Taquamenon Falls are stained brown by tannins, not pollution. Taquamenon Falls has brown water that looks polluted but is perfectly natural. Tannins from cedar swamps upstream stain the water root beer brown. The falls is the largest east of the Mississippi. Visitors assume the water is contaminated until learning about the natural tannins. Number 14. The Keweenaw Peninsula sticks into Lake Superior like a finger. The Keweenaw juts 80 miles into Lake Superior, creating Michigan's northernmost point. The Keweenaw Waterway was dug to create a shortcut, making the peninsula technically an island. This remote extension contains Michigan's harshest weather and deepest snow. Number 13. Michigan has a designated dark sky park where light pollution doesn't exist. Headlands. International Dark Sky Park offers views of the Milky Way and northern lights. The park is so remote that artificial light doesn't reach it. The UP is one of America's darkest regions. Michigan's geography includes places where night sky appears as humans saw it for millennia. Number 12. Michigan's Lower Peninsula is shaped like a mitten. Michigan residents hold up their right hand to show where they live on the mitten-shaped Lower Peninsula. This geographic shape makes Michigan the most recognizable state silhouette. The thumb, fingers, and palm regions all correspond to actual geography. Michigan's identity is literally handheld. Number 11. The Great Lakes moderate Michigan's climate, creating a banana belt. Areas near the Great Lakes experience milder winters and cooler summers. The lakes store heat in summer and release it in winter. Fruit orchards thrive in these microclimates, particularly cherries and grapes. Michigan's geography creates multiple climate zones within the state. Number 10. Michigan loses shoreline every year to erosion. Great Lakes water levels fluctuate dramatically, with high water years causing severe erosion. Homes, roads, and beaches disappear as waves undercut shorelines. Some areas lose dozens of feet annually. Michigan's coastline is literally shrinking as the Great Lakes reclaim land. Number 9. Michigan is the only place in the world where you can find Petoskey stones. Petoskey stones are fossilized coral from 350 million years ago, when Michigan was a tropical sea. These distinctive stones with hexagonal patterns wash up only on Michigan shores. Petoskey stones are Michigan's state stone. The stones prove that Michigan's geography was once underwater tropics. Number 8. Detroit was once the fourth largest city in America. Detroit's population peaked at 1.8 million in 1950, making it America's fourth largest city. The city's geography on the Detroit River made it an ideal industrial center. The city's decline to 630,000 residents created vast urban ruins. Detroit contains both Michigan's past glory and its industrial decline. Number 7. Michigan has a volcanic past that nobody talks about. The Keweenaw Peninsula formed from ancient lava flows over 1 billion years ago. Michigan sits on the mid-continent rift, a failed attempt to split North America in half. The rift created volcanic activity that deposited Michigan's copper. Michigan was once a volcanic zone 1 billion years ago. Number 6. Michigan's Hartwick Pines has trees over 300 years old. Hartwick Pines State Park contains one of the few remaining old-growth forests in Michigan. White pines tower over 150 feet tall. Over 95% of Michigan's original forest was logged between 1840 and 1910. These ancient trees are living monuments to Michigan's lost wilderness. Number 5. Michigan has more golf courses per capita than almost any state. Michigan has over 650 golf courses. The Great Lakes' moderate climate extending the golf season. Northern Michigan is a golf destination with courses overlooking the Great Lakes. The state's golf density reflects both climate and geographic beauty. Number 4. The Keweenaw Peninsula was once the world's copper capital. Native Americans mined Keweenaw copper for 7,000 years before Europeans arrived. The copper was so pure, it required no smelting. Mining companies extracted 11 billion pounds between 1845 and 1968. The peninsula's economy collapsed when copper depleted. Ghost towns and abandoned mines marked the landscape. Number 3. Michigan's Upper Peninsula gets over 200 inches of snow annually. Some UP locations receive over 250 inches of lake-effect snow per year. The snow starts in October and doesn't melt until May. Entire towns are buried under snow for months. The UP's snow totals exceed most ski resorts. Michigan's northern geography creates some of America's snowiest inhabited areas. Number 2. The Great Lakes were formed by glaciers. Over 10,000 years ago, massive ice sheets carved the Great Lakes basins during the last ice age. The glaciers were over a mile thick and weighed enough to depress the Earth's crust. When the ice melted, the basins filled with glacial meltwater. Michigan's entire landscape was shaped by glaciers. Every lake, hill, and valley is a glacial artifact. Number 1. Michigan has more public beaches than any other state. With 3,288 miles of coastline and thousands of inland lakes, Michigan has unlimited public beach access. The state maintains hundreds of public beaches on the Great Lakes. Most Michigan beaches are free and uncrowded compared to ocean beaches. Michigan's freshwater beaches offer everything ocean beaches do without salt. The abundance of accessible beaches makes Michigan a freshwater paradise. This single geographic feature defines Michigan's summers and the state's identity. No other state offers this combination of coastline length, water quality, and public access. Michigan's beaches prove that ocean access isn't required for perfect coastal experiences. Which Michigan geography fact shocked you the most? Drop a comment and subscribe for more mind-blowing facts about the Great Lakes state.